Welcome, Sojourners. You have found yourself a cozy place here at Sojourners Awake. I'm Jonathan, and this is our production of The Fairy and the Free. Like you, the Sojourners are on a mission. They face conflict and threat, and sometimes even danger. And in this most recent production, the Sojourners travel through the boundaries of the sky, beyond the horizon, and into the plane of Sky World, a vast, uncharted land, now wild with air and clouds, once used as the fountain of creation to develop the world of Bonsarel, now existing only as a wild land. The Sojourners search for the green swan Frisia, but before they find the city of Luminous, they must travel through the cloud forest, and most certainly not without incident. And so for now, our story continues. Upon the back of the angel, the three Sojourners journeyed from the realm of Bonsarel and beyond the limits of the sky. Now they pressed on through the clouds and space, with the light of the sun warming their skin. High above the world, 2 days passed as they sat securely on the back of Cartwright, the large, furry Tressum, his feline form adorned with feathery wings, gliding through the thin air up in the stratosphere. To what wonders do each of the Sojourners anticipate? Not easily does it go to make such a difficult trek beyond the construction of the plane and even into the world of air, an ancient and primordial realm, left over from the days of creation and now nearly forgotten to most souls within the world. Only 2 days ago did they accept such a task, to locate and return the green swan Frisia for the sake of their friend Millel, and for the sake of his poetry and his music. Cartwright exclaims for each of you to hold on tight as he plunges into the cloud forest. And just as quickly, he pulls up and out, high above the clouds into the eternal night sky, where a sea of twinkling lights spread above you. And there in the night sky blinks with the stars above, the rooster dancing proud, the serpent coiled quietly, and the generous chalice pouring out its blessings upon Bonsarel. Cartwright waits for a second, suspended in motion, eyes closed in a trance, quietly breathing. And so for now, our story continues.
Moments before, as we're gliding along, Samoon is staring around him and just taking in the vista, the stars, and feeling the air, and he's really excited. I'm going to assume something about Bertie, just for flavor, but he's going to turn around and look at his friends, and he sees Bertie with her helmet on, and her eyepieces happen to be down, while Triyina is just sitting quietly nearby. And he says,
"Hey guys, you know what I just realized? We are like that Superfly hero from Eldon's picture book. Think about it. Sylvia came to us for something she was not able to do."
And as I say that, Bertie gets the image of Sylvia pleading with heroes for help while standing in a strong posture before her.
Like the Superfly who was asked to rescue the person in danger from falling from the side of the tall building, Superfly noticed upon saving the person that it was much more than that, because these bad guys came out from behind the things and fought him on the rooftop. And then once he beat them, he noticed they wore a crest that belonged to someone more powerful than themselves. That was like us fighting Dumpo and Cousin in the kitchen. Remember? We uncovered a larger plot behind the need and that was the discovery of the murder cult of Beor.
And the image in Bertie's mind is Bertie punching Dumbo with large text saying "Wham!" and pointing to her fist meeting his jaw. And there's also the image of Triyina's arrow piercing through Hassan with large text, thwap, and him yelling as he falls, ugh.
And once we dealt with them, we ventured on to talk with Mr. Crankshaft, who we found to be a reasonable old man willing to help when asked. Plus, he has the coolest dogs I have ever seen.
The image then becomes that of Crankshaft laughing with his hands on his belly and a head rolled back with Samoon on the floor beneath one of the dogs while holding over his chest a slobbery ball.
And in the midst of that, Triyina, you had your own Superfly moment. This was like Superfly's friend who was being blackmailed to do something that he did not want to do, though I don't know what that was because I could not finish the story. You have a mean lady following you and using you to do her bidding. She slapped you really hard and froze Eldon.
The image then turns to that of Triyina sitting silently face down with her hand on her face as snowflakes fall on the floor in front of her.
Perhaps one day we can help free you from her grasp. And finally, the boy and Eldon were made well and everyone was happy again.
You see an image of celebration at the House of Healing while some of the mages there were pointing their fingers to the pages of Crankshaft's book in curiosity.
Now we are on this new adventure to go to Skyworld and help Milel's friend, the Prince of Autumn, to find his green swan.
And then we see an image of Milel standing in front of us with a big smile while using his hands to show the dimensions of the swan.
You know, I wonder how many adventures Superfly has gone on. I mean, we have only been together for a short while, and look at what we have experienced. Oh, and before I forget, we did break into one of the Bookend's apartments and destroyed his metal dog thing. Hopefully that note you left him, Triyina, will be enough to explain why we were there. Also, that bird outside the window gave me the creeps when it looked at me.
The image in Bertie's mind then turns to that of Triyina scribbling near a desk with a small tree beside her in a pot while Samoon is kneeling down and using a short sword to poke at the dead mechanical dog, and Bertie breaking through the door smiling with irony terrified next to her at the scene.
Then we left for Skyworld and fought off Ariel's followers and saved that mother caribou and her baby.
And then you see the image of these graceful creatures nuzzling each other with the cast shadow of a unicorn protruding from them.
And thanks to Sir Catrick for giving us this ride, perhaps finding a swan in such a beautiful place won't be that difficult. Besides, I am in no rush to leave this sweet embrace of warmth and sunshine to go back to the cold of Bald Top.
Image of us riding Catrick through a rainbow sky with Bald Top getting tinier in the distance from which we came. And to this, Triyina then responds.
Samoon, hey. Samoon. Are you okay? You're kind of spacing out there. Come back to us.
Oh, my apologies, it was nothing. Let's go find the green swan.
Sounds like a plan.
There's something I'm a little confused about. So was the caribou a unicorn or was the unicorn a caribou? I'm confused.
Oh, no, the caribou I think was the caribou, and Samoon kind of looks at Bertie like, wait a minute. Something's not right here. but the spirit was casting a shadow through it. Right? Triyina, you saw it, right?
At that moment, Samoon, you realize that Bertie has somehow heard your thoughts. Bertie, you realize at this moment that you have been hearing Samoon's thoughts. Triyina, everything seems very strange.
I got no idea what's going on, y'all.
Well, Bertie just asked me about the caribou, and it casted a shadow of a unicorn, although if I did not say anything, how did you know I was thinking about that caribou, Bertie?
Well, this helmet kind of helps me have like virtual reality glasses where I can see into people's minds. And your brain is like I can see your thoughts.
Virtual
So-
or what?
Well, it's sort of like this thing that I don't know. I heard about it in an old tale one day.
You can wait. And I'm making eye contact with Bertie. You can read my thoughts? Immediately I drop down into the fur and like bury myself under the fur. Like, stop!
Well, I think it's gonna come in handy maybe later. I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I've used them to like help negotiate deals and find objects and help other teammates out.
Samoon and Triyina, if you would both make a DC 13 Wisdom save.
Oh my gosh, I rolled exactly 13.
Nope, 10.
Triyina, having much experience with scrying and intrusion and high supervision, you are quickly able to assess the frequency in which Bertie can tap into your mind and detect your thoughts. Therefore, at this point, you are able to withstand her intrusion. Samoon, however, you have not quite grasped this skill set. Much like the sign language that you're trying to learn, it is not coming natural to you. And Bertie, at this point, you are able to cast Detect Thoughts at will so far. And at every time you try for Samoon, he will have to repeat a Wisdom saving throw, DC 13.
Well, I can definitely see why it would be a really good thing to have. You're not gonna read my thoughts, are you?
Well, I mean, I don't like to think that people can't trust me, so let's just say no, I won't read your thoughts as long as you promise to be honest to me, or honest with me, honest to me. I don't know.
I can honestly say that I'll honestly be honest with you.
Okay.
If you can read my thoughts, what am I thinking about right now?
And as you perceive my mind, I'm thinking about a cupcake with a lizard on top of it.
I mean, I think I like cupcakes too. I mean, I like all kinds of food, but does it have is that like a real lizard or is that a fake lizard?
Well, first off, it was a decoration candy thing of a lizard. But that is a mess. How did you know I was thinking of I do not understand this. But I can see it being very useful for us. No, I do not want to push the bounds, but they are probably much too powerful. But I was wondering if we should try on my limb. That would be fun, right?
He might get really mad. But maybe Catrick?
I think I could try. Maybe Catrick would. He seems like he's asleep though.
Bertie, if you would roll a d4.
3.
You have one more charge, and you notice that the battery power of this helmet is starting to dwindle.
I think this helmet probably needs to take a break.
Oh, so it takes breaks too. Well,
I mean, my head needs to take a break too. It's too much going on here.
That's an incredible magic item. Where did you say you got it again?
Oh, there was this other party that I was, there's this other group of people that I was with, and I found it with them. We were out. I forget what the mission was now, but I remember there was this monk. His name was Kesif, and I miss him dearly. He was my friend. And she kind of like googly-eyed, glazes over, and then comes to really quick.
Oh, well, that's sweet. I'm glad that you were able to have those adventures.
Yeah, I miss my friend.
What happened to him?
I don't know. Our party just kind of split up, and he went away before I could tell him how much of a friend he was to me.
Oh, Bertie, I'm so sorry. Have you ever thought about trying to find him?
No, I haven't actually.
Well, maybe we can find him together.
That's an interesting idea. I'll have to think about it.
Okay, but maybe after the helmet takes a break.
Yeah.
And you too, apparently.
Yeah, the helmet in my brain needs a break.
Where are each of you sitting at this moment?
Probably right between the shoulder blades of Cartwright.
He doesn't have like a harness thing on him, correct? Then yeah, probably in front of his shoulder blades, but like kind of on his neck area.
And Bertie?
In front of Triyina.
I would say that I'm more down towards his tail.
At that moment, you notice that as you look down at your feet, breaking the concentration from the conversation, you look below you and all you see is white clouds. No sign of Cartwright. Standing and sitting completely in midair, with no sign of Cartwright, you stand aloft.
What happened to Cartwright? I'm starting to
Well, I guess
stand
I
up and
can't
just start
read his mind.
flailing my arms.
I guess I can't read his mind now, huh? He's gone?
Why are you so calm about this? We're standing on a cloud. We should be falling. Oh, no, don't think about falling. Is this one of those things where as soon as you realize that there's nothing below you, you're going to fall? I'm going to keep thinking about flying. Just keep flying. Just keep flying. She shuts her eyes and like pinches her fingers up by her face. It looks like she's meditating really hard on not falling out of the clouds.
Samoon, with nothing beneath your feet, how do you respond?
I look down, realizing I'm not casting any sort of air around me, but feeling very comfortable. I look forward and just like start putting my hand up in the same way that Superfly did. As though I'm like flying myself as he did with and I imagine like this cape like furrowing off of my back as we're soaring through, and thinking that I'm still somehow dreaming, because that's what I was just doing in it a moment ago.
Yes, indeed, and the cape responds to you, and it stands out proud and tall, even though you're probably moving only about 2 miles an hour at this point. And very slowly you drift, and you do find that you are moving through the thin stratosphere, and then you do hear a voice from underneath you, and the shimmering image of Cartwright begins to come back hazily into focus. And he says, "Yes, rest is always needed for all things, including myself. Apologies. I tend to invisible myself when I am resting. I can see that you are not invisible at this point. That would be a pity in case we came across predators. But I do need to rest."
Oh my gosh, Cartwright, you gave me a heart attack. I thought we were gonna die.
Aided by this wonderful conversational piece, he stirs a little bit. He blinks his eye and says, "And why would that be bad for you?"
Because I only get to live one life.
What happens then after you die?
Well, I don't want to find out.
He laughs. And then he just says, "It is the glory of the universe to conceal a mystery, is it not? Isn't it the glory of mortals to uncover it?"
Yeah, sure. Glory. Look, please just, if you're gonna go invisible, just warn us next time.
I will keep your mortal mind in my mind as well.
Thank you.
Each of you make a Constitution saving throw. As the air thins up here in the stratosphere, you do find it harder and harder to breathe.
6.
11.
23.
Bertie, at this point, you are able to withstand the low levels of oxygen up here in the stratosphere. I can only imagine why. Samoon, you would have normally passed out by now, but for some reason, you are not affected whatsoever. Triyina, you are having a very difficult time breathing, and you take 1 point of exhaustion. Disability on ability checks for the remainder of the day until the long rest. How do you respond?
Hey guys, y'all okay? Triyina, you okay? You look kind of pale.
Yeah, I'm fine. Sorry, I just got so startled and my heart is racing and it's not coming down from the racing. Oh man, you just can't do that.
Maybe you should lay down.
Okay, yeah, maybe I will. She'll snuggle up in the cat fur. And just start her breathing more and more labored.
Samoon turns and looks at you, and he's got a wide grin as he sits down. He's like, "This was the thing that Sylvia was talking about. I do not need to breathe. So I think we are in a thin air, and this air is not exactly favorable to regular people. But I am okay."
Well, couldn't Milo have warned us? Is it gonna be like this in this entire trip?
I can tell that I'm not going to get much sleep at this point. So
Sorry.
here is the proposition. We could, for your mortality, stay up here in the stratosphere and travel over the cloud forest. It will be quick, but it will be very dangerous, and, well, it will be a toll on your body. Or we could progress through the cloud forest, and while it might have increased level of incidences, it will be easier on your breathing. I am your courier, your carrier. I will do as you request. While you think about it, I will attempt to get a little more shut-eye. So now with the night sky, you see the stars above you, high up in this thin air. You do see that your final destination is a beacon of light, like a very large, gargantuan, massive lighthouse. It illuminates part of Skyworld and leaves a third of it in darkness. Below you, an expansive, a barrier between you and the great city of Luminous is the wilds of the Cloud Forest. Having gone through the forest, you see that you are above it right now, and the boughs of these trees are wisps of cloud with incredible density. And below them, large stalks of ice trunks and branches that sprawl up into this network, creating this forest of air. How do each of you respond to this situation?
Can I reach out and touch any of the stalks things?
He's about 50 feet up in the air at this point, but you did have a chance to feel the stalks as you moved through the forest initially, and you could feel that they were quite solid. While they didn't retain a complete level of etherealness, they did have some solidity to them. It's like pieces of cotton that could be moved through.
Well, this place is weird.
Sounds like everything is dangerous, and I don't actually see anything but the night sky above me because I'm laying down. But, well, Catrick says he needs to rest, so what would be better, for him to just quickly take us to our destination, or for him to just drop us off and let us walk?
Well, if you cannot breathe well, but it is kind of risky. I feel like Catrick has the better understanding of what we are going through, because I have never seen a place like this.
Samoon, before you ask Catrick, what you can assess since you are gathering the risk, this expansive cloud would take something like a good 12 hours of travel. Mechanically, it would be 6 constitution saves. You have found that you are able to withstand this breathing. You can easily assess that Bertie is, for whatever reason, completely satisfied with this level of oxygen.
I don't really need a lot of oxygen for my brain, so...
Yes, I do not know that it would be wise for the sake of our traveling to stay in this particular level. I think as hard as it might be to go outside of this protection, we should definitely consider it.
Fine, I'm fine with that. That sounds good. Let's go down. Let's just go down. It wasn't my idea, so it's not my fault if anything goes wrong.
I guess we would just have to be on our guard.
totally on our guard. I'm gonna die.
I don't have a problem with maybe like punching some cloud monsters, I guess.
You punch cloud monsters so good.
Bertie, when you say that, some of the clouds start to move above you, and you see that out from the trees, in a school of flying sheep begin to erupt out of the clouds and swirl around the night sky as if they're playing in the clouds. These white puffy sheep seem to glide with these skinny little legs, and they all gently rest at the top of the boughs. Keeping in mind that sheep are usually at the bottom of the food chain, this is a natural sign of safety in this moment.
I think we should just get up and walk it.
Catrick awaits at that moment and says, it has been a long time. Where shall I take you? Did you decide to press on throughout the stratosphere? Or should I take you through the cloud forest?
Down, please. Please take us down.
I will consider all the other members of the party before I make a decision.
Well, for the sake of my friends, I think it would be best to go down as well.
Well, that is a 2 out of 3 vote. Therefore, I concede. And he gently drops down, and as he lands into the cloud forest, you begin to feel the clouds drift on your skin, and like cold icicles, some of the frost clings to you, and then immediately evaporates at the heat of your own body. And sure enough, the cloud forest opens before you, and running up and down the forest, solid floating trunks of slints. You see above you now the trees bloom into puffy clouds, washing out the naked sky. And below, as Catrick lands, in this underrealm, soft lily pads of white cotton float gently below your feet. And then Catrick lands. You may get off. You may, if you choose.
Is it real ground down there?
It's real enough for me. Why don't you take a dose of curiosity and try it out?
But you're a celestial divine being. I think what's real for you is a little more fluid than for us.
He starts to go on about the natures of reality, but his voice is droned on by the bleating of these cloud sheep that begin hopping around in the forest.
All right, I'm done, and I just slide off his back.
And as you land, you gently bounce on this puffy bed of cotton and cloud, but at the same time sink ever so gently and then rest below the mist. And as you stand up, the ground seems to support you in just a nice way.
So when I bounce, I get this look of wonder in my eyes, and then it bounce stops, and I start to sink, and I kind of like reach out real quick, and then I realize I'm no longer sinking. I'm just like, oh, this isn't so bad. And I'd like to call to some sheep while my other friends dismount.
You may make an animal handling check in the meantime.
Still
Bertie,
at disadvantage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you're a little wee for the wear. Bertie, how do you dismount?
She sees Triyina and the apparent softness of the ground, so she does a running leap and cannonball into the cloud ground. And she goes, "Look out, guys! Here I come!"
And Bertie, you descend far below the surface of the cloud, and you feel yourself descending 5, 10, 20 feet. And where Bertie has descended through the cloud, there is a small makeshift tunnel that she left behind in the shape of her body.
Uh-oh.
I rolled a 6 for animal handling, and I assume that I didn't notice this happen because I'm trying to get these sheep to come to me.
Yeah, well enough. You are wandering away, and the sheep are moving, but unlike natural sheep that you have been used to on the plain of Bonsarl, these sheep can move up and down and into the clouds and blend. And pretty soon you try to catch a cloud, and it just disappears into an actual piece of cloud. You hear the sheep beginning to mock you and bleat, and laughter around an ice sculpture of trees and network of thickets. They move, and you can still see a small baby lamb pretending to hide from you, though through the ice you can see its body.
This is wonderful. I'm just laughing and having a good time. And, guys, these guys, they're so cute. And I turn around. Samoon, what happened to Bertie?
Samoon kneels towards Catrick's ear before dismount. Mr. Catrick, sir, will you be joining us in this walk? Or are we saying goodbye to you from here?
Oh, no, I will be accompanying you to the City of Luminous, as I promised. But I will be taking on a different form. And even before your eyes, he diminishes into the size of a simple house cat with wings, walking alongside you and says, "This will allow us to be a little more inconspicuous, as I cannot always turn invisible."
Ah, very good. Hey, where did Bertie go? And seeing this hole in the ground, he just peers in. Will she come back, Catrick?
Most certainly, I believe so. Bertie, you are able to climb up if you so wish. Though it is quite cold here at the bottom of the ice and the snow, I'm surprised that she didn't fall all the way through. That would have been difficult finding her.
What is below there?
Well, more sky, and well, if you're familiar with the oceans of your world, a lot is unexplored down there. Great beasts and creatures have long forgotten. I have not been down there myself, but I understand that eventually the air becomes so dense and the pressure so great that, well, if your mortal body can't handle the stratosphere, it could not handle the mesosphere. You would probably simply explode.
And you didn't think to warn us about that before we jumped off your back?
He looks at you. Meow, meow, meow.
She turns around and starts
Bertie.
to go after that little lamb behind the ice.
Okay, nice. Triyina, you are distancing yourself from the party as you chase after this lamb, but indeed you are successful. Bertie, how are you responding?
Climbing up out of my hole. Hey guys, it's very cold down there. I wouldn't recommend doing that. It's, I don't know, doesn't seem very fun anymore. She kind of shivers and just climbs all the way up to the surface.
But did you see anything down there?
I saw clouds. I mean, that's kind of it.
It was very dark.
It
Well
felt good until it got cold.
So long as it doesn't get cold up here, I'm okay.
Unable to see the City of Luminous at this point, the cloud forest is dark in this area. Catrick leads the way. It will be a long walk.
When you said I was successful in my hunt for the little lamb, does that mean I was able to touch it and pet it and play with it?
Yes.
Okay.
So
I just want to make sure that that's
No.
what happened.
Catrick and Samoon and Bertie, you walk towards and you find Triyina behind a thicket of ice. And the lamb at your knee height is gently bleeding and moving closer to you, responding to an instinct of some kind. And you see that as you look through the reflection of the ice thickets, Triyina's form kind of glistens off the starlight and creates this artistic mosaic of her crouching down to the lamb.
Come here. I just want to pet you. It's okay. I just want to pet you.
As you do, it feels like you're petting snow. Its skin responds and moves and drifts away from its body only momentarily, and as you release your hand, it coalesces back into its form.
Oh, you are a marvelous little creature, aren't you? Amazing. I'm just having a time of my life right now.
Samoon and Bertie, you have seen Triyina respond to animals 3 times now. The lamb hears the call of its mother, and the sheep walk in tandem with you at times, moving in and out of the clouds. And as you're walking through this forest, Bertie, you hear a pleasant sound. What is that?
Well, the only sounds that I hear are our feet moving, this kind of squishing through the snow, or the clouds, the snow cloud, basically. I think Bertie thinks that that is a really cool noise.
Samoon, you see a pleasant sight. What is that?
I see on the branch little cloudbirds. And messing with each other like siblings. And then in my mind's eye, all I am thinking about is the warmth of that sun that we have departed from earlier in our journey.
Catrick says, "We will soon be in the light of Luminous, where it is no longer night, but perpetual daylight, as is the way of Skyworld. 2/3 of the plane covered in light, 1/3 in darkness. It's quite a wonderful place, I think. Good for flying." Triyina, as you're moving through, you hear an unpleasant sound. What would that be as you're walking through this cloud forest?
As the breeze rustles through the boughs of these icy trees, it sounds kind of like that fingernails on chalkboard screeching to my ears as the icy branches come together, and it sends a shiver down my spine as I start to imagine these trees coming to life and grabbing us.
And as you're walking around, Triyina, paying attention to that, you do notice that unlike in the world of Bonsarel, these trees don't stay where they're at, but gently move in and out of the clouds. Suspended in the air, strong nonetheless, but these ice sculptures almost seem to replace the very boughs that they support. Occasionally, as you walk through the forest, you step into a hole in which you sink for a moment and find that the footing here in the cloud forest is not always secure and stable.
I squawk every time it happens.
Each of you make a Constitution saving throw to see how long you can press on.
10.
I am also a 10.
18.
Bertie, you're leading the charge, keeping up the pace. How are you succeeding where Samoon and Triyina are not?
Bertie is hardy. She's been through everything. Everything is calloused and hardened with experience and adventure. Kind of stomping through, just trekking through.
A big puff of cloud just erupts as Bertie's kicking through the clouds in the area and clearing this path. Nevertheless, Samoon and Triyina, you are exhausted. Not mechanically, but you are feeling the effects of it's time to sleep. How do you respond?
Hey, Bertie. You seem to be powering through this pretty well, and I commend you for that. But I am getting a little tired. Do you think we should stop and have a rest?
I guess.
Yeah, I agree. It's so, I'm just really tired. And then I think, in addition to just walking and running out of energy, Triyina makes her own stress by worrying about everything happening around her. And so she's just done.
Catrick, do you think there's a good spot for us to rest around here?
There was a wonderful place to rest up in the stratosphere. But here in the forest, we should look for... Well, I don't suppose you could make yourself invisible, could you?
That would be amazing. But not that I am aware of.
As you look around the cloud forest, the difficulty in creating cover or shelter is everything seems to be moving all the time. Do you have any experience in surviving in difficult places? It would be a challenge. I believe your mortal bodies would need some sort of shelter from the elements. And his eyes dart to the left and right, and we are not exactly in safe wildlands. There are greater, bigger things And the sheep serve more of a purpose than simply being cute.
What purpose exactly would that be?
Food.
Noted. Stay away from the sheep.
I have an idea. And she takes off her wolf skin, and she kind of nudges it over to Samoon and Triyina. How about you guys rest? You can rest under my wolf skin, and I'll just sit here and I'll punch anything that tries to attack us. How about that?
You're gonna need to rest eventually too, right?
I feel fine.
Well, I was thinking we have our ropes, or at least I have some rope. Maybe we can tie at least 2 of these trees together so that they don't separate. And we can make that a point of security for us. At least know that we have 2 trees that won't leave us.
But what if we offend the trees? I mean, it's their nature to float around. And then you're gonna leash them? They might not like that.
Ina, make a nature check.
Oh,
This
boy.
is world building moment, depending on if you're right.
It's gonna be an 8. Rolled a 3 plus 5.
An 8. Technically, Triyina is not right, though she does believe that.
Hey, look, whatever you guys think will be like the safest, but I mean, if we're tied to the tree and the tree's floating, wouldn't we just float with the tree?
Oh, no, I wasn't saying that we would tie ourselves to the tree. I was just saying that we would take the rope and tie it around the tree and then another tree, so that way those 2 trees, at least if they drift together and we can stay in between them. And maybe, I don't know, take your wolf skin and toss it over and make a little tent. But I don't know how the ground would hold. That is my concern.
Well, I'm not gonna make it any further walking, so if no one has a better plan, then we can at least try it, and if we start to sink, someone can catch us?
I will at least do my part to make sure you don't descend into the basosphere.
Thank you.
Why don't you lay on top of the wolf skin? And then that'll add some stability to the ground.
As you lay that down, Bertie, it does look like a carpet or a rug or a picnic blanket lying. It is a solid form.
Well, we could try doing the thing where we lay it down between the 2 trees. That way the trees don't drift apart and pull the ground apart. I think that was a really good idea, Samoon. I'm sorry for trying to shoot it down.
No, I have no complaints. It was just an idea, and ideas should be discussed.
Samoon, you can make a survival check with advantage given Bertie's participation and Trina's well-timed apology.
13 on the first roll and a 16 on the second roll plus 4, so an unnatural 20.
It's really good. It's a very secure invention, and it accomplishes everything that you intended it to in keeping your party together while you rest.
See, like this. Now you can lie down over on this side, and I will lie down over on this side, and then Bertie can sit over there. And then Bertie, when you are ready, one of us can switch with you. And we can play the lookout game.
I only need a couple hours to rest. I don't rest as long as some of the other humanoid species do. So definitely wake me up as soon as you get tired, Bertie.
I feel fine.
Well, thank you. Thank you both so much. She's gonna just kind of curl up on the side of the wolf pelt that doesn't have the wolf head because it still kind of creeps her out. And fall into her trance.
All right, Bertie, if you see anything, do not hesitate to yell out to us. And Samoon will sit on the opposite side of Triyina with the wolf head and just have his back up against the tree and just nod off.
Bertie, while you keep watch, how do you appear?
Just sitting on the very edge of the wolf pelt, just a little, like the leg of it, and sitting kind of with her knees up. And she's whistling a song, almost a little loudly.
You can make a perception check then as you keep watch.
13.
Okay. Bertie, between your whistles, you see the clouds gently moving, and the clouds seem to move in like fashion with your whistling. As you whistle up, the clouds gently rise like waves, rippling gently the wolf pelt underneath you. When you whistle low, they descend into just little bitty pockets, like the one that you fell through earlier. And then, contrary and in discord to your whistling, a small slither of clouds moves against the grain. Bertie, you see this creature is stalking you, and possibly between the curiosity of what kind of prey it stalks, or whether it is stalking the sheep that are snoozing in the trees above you. How do you respond?
Hey guys, I think there's a cloud snake thing that's gonna eat us, so you better wake up.
Loud enough to rouse your companions. Anything else?
Kind of charge my electric bracer things, just electrify them.
Okay, I'll say you take the dodge action. The basilisk begins to rear its ugly head, and in a snake-like slithering fashion, it stalks you ever so close. Cartwright, waking up, begins to stir a little bit, but at this point, no one speaks. It reaches immediately above you and slashes, and you see its long, 40-foot-long body nearly knock you over, Bertie, and it jumps into the tree above you, swirls around a poor sheep, and instantly crushes it in its coils. The sheep begins to bleat. As the basilisk constrains this sheep, you see that instead of turning to stone as you would expect, it begins to swell with air and starts to float up beyond its will, past the clouds and into the stratosphere. Then the basilisk turns towards you. Every story comes to an ending, so for now we must conclude. Thank you for listening, Sojourners. Your attention will not go unrewarded, and we look forward to continuing this adventure. If you enjoyed this background music and ambiance, then you should visit Tabletop Audio. Find them at www.tabletopaudio.com. And please take the time to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes of The Fairy and the Free. And if you would, leave a rating. It would so help the podcast as we continue our story. And as always, Sojourner, may your story continue. Well, we could just stop right there, I think. That is fantastic.
Did it convey that he went into a daydream and Bertie was able to
Just
hear
read
it
his
because of her
mind.
helmet? Yeah, there you go.
That comic book retelling of our adventures is wonderful, and I would like you to illustrate it now.
Yeah, there's a lot of high demand there. That was good.